Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India NewsHour, India's voice to the world. I'm Unman Bhattacharya. Coming up in the next hour. Campaigning ends for Phase 3 of India's parliamentary poll ahead of polling on 7th May. Leaders hit the campaign trail for the remaining phases. Prime Minister Narendra Modi offers prayers at Ram Janmabhoomi Temple in Ayodhya city, the birthplace of Lord Ram in the Indian state of Uttar Pradesh, holds a roadshow. Hopes for Gaza ceasefire appear slim amid Cairo talks. Hamas reiterates demand for an end to the war in exchange for freeing hostages. Israeli Prime Minister rules it out. International Cricket Council announces the fixtures for the 9th ICC Women's T20 World Cup 2024 taking place from the 3rd to the 20th of October in Bangladesh. Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Sunday arrived in the holy city of Ayodhya in Uttar Pradesh. He visited the iconic Ram Janmabhoomi temple and performed puja there. This is PM Modi's first visit to Ayodhya after the Ram Lala idol's consecration on the 22nd of January 2024. Let's get you now the latest on the world's largest democratic election in India. Campaigning for the third phase of Lok Sabha elections ended today. Political leaders held back-to-back rallies in favor of their party candidates. Voting in this phase will be held in 95 constituencies spread over 10 states and 2 union territories. On the other hand, campaigning has intensified for the fourth phase of polling as well. Prime Minister Narendra Modi and senior BJP leader was on the campaign trail in the North Indian state of Uttar Pradesh, while Congress leader Rahul Gandhi was in the southern state of Telangana.
After the conclusion of voting in 2 phases of the Lok Sabha elections on April 19 and April 26, the stage is all set for the third phase of the 18th Lok Sabha elections, which will take place on May 7. 95 parliamentary constituencies across 12 states and union territories will go to the polls in this phase. In India's politically most crucial state, Uttar Pradesh, several seats are witnessing a direct fight between the BJP and the SP-led India bloc, while the Bahujan Samaj Party is aiming to make the contest three-cornered in these seats. BJP is seeking votes on the plank of Modi and Yogi government's achievements, while the Samajwadi Party is appealing to its traditional vote bank with an emotional pitch. A key seat to watch in this phase is Mainpuri, where Samajwadi Party's Dimple Yadav is trying to retain the party's pocket borough. Meanwhile, high-pitched political battle has begun for the fourth phase of elections. Campaigning in Uttar Pradesh reached a crescendo with all the political parties hitting top gear. Senior BJP leader and Prime Minister Narendra Modi addressed political rallies in Etawah and Doordarshan and held a roadshow in Ayodhya this evening. Addressing a public gathering in Etawah, Prime Minister Narendra Modi launched a scathing attack on nepotism in Indian politics.
इनकी विरासत गाड़ी, बंगला, राजनीतिक रसूख, कोई मैनपुरी, कन्नौज और इटावा को अपनी जागीर मानता है, कोई अमेठी रायबरेली को अपनी जागीर मानता है, लेकिन मोदी की विरासत गरीब का पक्का घर है। मोदी की विरासत देश की करोड़ों माताओं बहनों को मिला शौचालय है।
Senior BJP leader Amit Shah addressed a rally in Dharmavaram in the southern Indian state of Andhra Pradesh. Addressing the gathering, Amit Shah vowed the BJP's commitment to root out corruption and land mafia from Andhra Pradesh. On the other hand, Congress leader Rahul Gandhi held a public rally in Adilabad city of southern state of Telangana. Addressing the rally, the Congress leader asserted that his party will replicate the Telangana model of people's government with all-inclusive welfare and all-round development approach to empower the poor and marginalized sections if voted to power at the centre.
हम आपको आदिवासी कहते हैं। आदिवासी का मतलब वो लोग जिनका पहला अधिकार जमीन पर पहला अधिकार है। तेलंगाना की सरकार और हिंदुस्तान की सरकार आपकी जल, जंगल और जमीन का अधिकार आपको देगी और आपकी रक्षा करेगी।
Meanwhile, BJP National President JP Nadda released the party's manifesto for the Odisha Assembly elections, which will be held in 4 phases from May 13 to June 1, along with the Lok Sabha elections. Bureau Report, DD India.
As the campaign ended for the third phase polls, the focus now has shifted to arrangements for successful and smooth conduct of polls. DD India correspondent Akshay Dongre caught up with the district collector of Bhopal and the Indian state of Madhya Pradesh to know more about the arrangements for polls on 7th May.
Right now we are in Bhopal and the campaigning for the third phase of the general elections have ended, and now the work has begun for the Election Commission of India to make all the arrangements that are required to conduct a smooth election process. And we are right now at the distribution center of Bhopal. As you can see, there are thousands of seats that have been set up here for all the poll officials that will be coming here with their electronic voting machines. They will be making all the preparations, and all the arrangements have almost been made, and other works are being looked after by the officials. And to talk about the preparations, we have the district collector of Bhopal with us. Sir, thank you for speaking with us. First of all, I would like to understand what are the kind of preparations that you have done to ensure that election process is smooth in Bhopal?
Actually, as you are seeing, all kind of preparation have been made, like EVM, SOP and strong room, poll personnel trainings, FST, expenditure monitoring with the team, FST, SST, VST, VVT. So we did all kind of preparation as per ECI guidelines.
How many polling booths are there in Bhopal, and how many? What is the number of voters?
Approx 2200 polling stations are falling under the constituency, and 1,000 approx 1,000 population that is eligible for vote under one polling station. 2,197 booths are in the Bhopal constituency.
Anything specific that you have done for the voters to ensure that more number of voters come?
We did several things, like for inclusive voting, transgender fashion show has been organized by district administration, and so many other activities have been conducted under the constituency.
That was the district collector of Bhopal. There are about 2,200 polling booths here in this constituency, and in each and every constituency there will be about 1,000 voters. So it's going to be a mega exercise. All the preparations are being made and everything is being done so that our voters do not face any kind of difficulty. From Bhopal with camera person Ramakant Sharma, Akshay Dongre, DD India.
In West Bengal, Murshidabad goes to polls on Tuesday in the third of the 7th phase of the Indian and national elections, along with Jangipur, Uttar and Dakshin Malda. Murshidabad is a historical city dotted with monuments and ruins dating back 2,000 years, recalling a regal past. But stakeholders say the tourism infrastructure has not been developed in Murshidabad optimally and are urging the powers that be during elections to give it due attention. Gautam Roy reports.
Murshidabad's Hazardwari Palace and Museum stands testimony to its grand past on one of the banks of the Ganga River. It's a palace with 1,000 doors, around 100 of them fake to confuse enemies. It was built in the 19th century under the reign of Nawab Nazim Humayun Jah, who ruled present-day West Bengal, Bihar, Odisha and even Bangladesh. It houses a museum now with relics of regal times, tales of conquest, betrayals and lost battles to British invaders. Murshidabad is going to polls on the 7th of May in the third of the seven-phased Indian national elections. The May heat and the polls are keeping the number of tourists low these days, but those still visiting the monument come away all smiles.
It's a little hot, but otherwise it's beautiful. I love the fact that there are these small houses and people are staying here, and then in between we have these old architecture and some mosques, some buildings. That's really beautiful, the entire place.
Murshidabad is replete with monuments which date back nearly 2000 years and tell the tale of different dynasties in the region. But many of them are in ruins and need better care and promotion.
Almost 2 million domestic and foreign tourists come to Murshidabad every year. We would like the government to pay some attention to Murshidabad from the perspective of tourism. There are hardly any good places for tourists to stay overnight or more. So if the government really takes interest in developing the tourism infrastructure in this region, its economic development will be enhanced.
Some members of Murshidabad's erstwhile noble and aristocratic families have converted their Rajabaris and Havelis into heritage hotels and homestays to give visitors a regal experience. But such options are few and far between, and stakeholders say more are required.
If such experiences can be had in Rajasthan and Gujarat, some effort can work wonders also in Murshidabad. It is a repository of nobility and heritage. It has a lot of scope for development which hasn't been done yet.
Murshidabad's Hazaridwar Palace, or Palace with 1,000 doors, is just one of the historical monuments that are there in Murshidabad that take us back to the Bengal Sultanate era. And the people of Murshidabad are now seeking in the time of elections that they should be promoted so that the people from world over come here to see what a glorious past this city had. With cameraperson Uttam Singh, this is Gautam Roy in Murshidabad for DD India.
As anticipation builds in Chhattisgarh, residents from all walks of life gear up for the upcoming polls on the 7th of May, from first-time voters to seasoned elders, and notably, the resilient farmer community enthusiasm knows no bounds despite the scorching temperatures.
The state of Chhattisgarh will go to polls on May 7 on 7 seats. Everyone is very excited to go to polls, and so are the farmers, who are equally excited to cast their ballots come May 7.
In the heart of Surajpur, in the Indian state of Chhattisgarh, amidst the relentless heat, Madhusudan Sahu tirelessly tends to his farm, earning his livelihood through hours of labor. Yet, despite the challenges, his determination to cast his ballot nearby remains unwavering. He emphasizes the importance of exercising his democratic right.
मेरे को वोट करने के लिए भी प्रेरित करना है और मतदान भी करवाना है अधिकतम, और अधिक से अधिक मतदान के लिए जाएं, और मैं भी मतदान के लिए जाऊंगा और उत्साह बहुत है मतदान के लिए.
Bela Sahu is also eagerly anticipating the opportunity to vote on the May 7th, recognizing the crucial significance of participating in the electoral process.
गेहूं का खेती करते हैं हम लोग, सब भूसा उसा भर रहे हैं, अभी कटाई उटाई हुआ है तो मतदान करेंगे, हम लोग के लिए जरूरी है, इसलिए जाएंगे. मतदान का ही फायदा है कि सरकार हम लोग को कुछ देते हैं.
The unwavering determination of individuals to cast their votes despite numerous challenges speaks volumes about their concern for the future of Chhattisgarh.
The temperature is certainly high here in Chhattisgarh, and even though in this scorching heat the spirits are high, people are very excited to go to polls on May 7 when 7 constituencies will go to polls here. And even farmers are very much excited to be a part of the biggest festival of democracy. With camera person Sarda Ranjan, this is Siddharth Bharadwaj reporting for DD India in Chhattisgarh.
Still to come on DD India News Hour. Live updates from DD India's team of correspondents on the great Indian election. news breaks, whatever it takes.
Connecting corners, cutting across continents.
Stories that matter from across the globe.
Accurate, authentic journalism that serves you right. From politics to glamour, from sports to world affairs, with a fusion of aesthetics and substance. Introducing news in a new avatar. Experience the world through a new lens. Stay tuned to DD India for an exciting journey beyond borders. Hype versus facts. In-depth news and analysis with experts who will help you decide why this election matters. DD India is the main election headquarters with numbers most accurate, data most reliable, and viewership across the platforms. Stay tuned to the Great Indian Election only on weekdays at 8:30 p.m. IST and 1500 hours GMT.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News Hour with me, Munmun Bhattacharya, and joining us now are correspondents covering Phase 3 polling and the election that has just, the campaign rather, that has just ended for the Phase 3 polling. Joining us are Amritpal Singh from Sambal in Uttar Pradesh, Gautam Roy, Murshidabad, West Bengal. Meghna Dev is joining us from Ahmedabad in Gujarat. So Amrit, I'll come to you first. 10 Lok Sabha seats in Uttar Pradesh going to polls on 7th May. How does the political contest look in this round of polling?
Munmun, out of the 10 seats that are going to polls on Tuesday, it is a direct fight between the Samajwadi Party and the BJP in most of these seats, though it's a three-cornered contest in some seats where the BSP is also in a fight. But in most of the seats, it is between the Samajwadi Party and the BJP. One odd seat, that is of Fatehpur Sikri, the Congress candidate is also strong. There are, of course, more than 100 candidates, including independents, but primarily the contest is between these three main political parties. Now, the BJP remains a dominant force here. If you look at the 2019 elections, the BJP had won 8 out of these 10 seats. Though if you break that down into assembly segments, things were different in 2022 when the assembly elections were held for the Uttar Pradesh Assembly. But people vote differently when they are voting for, say, the general elections. They vote differently when they are voting for the state elections. That factor, that has to be factored in. But broadly, I would say the BJP remains a dominant force, though many constituencies like Manpuri, Eta, Badaयूं, are Sambal, where I am, are strongholds of the Samajwadi Party because the caste combination is primarily what their traditional vote bank is. So they are also in a strong position. So that's what the political contest here looks like.
Okay, we'll go to Gautam now. Gautam, West Bengal, we know, is poised for interesting battles in the third phase. Now, this region has a distinct geography and demography. Are issues there both constituency specific as well as those with national import that we've been hearing about in the campaign, like CAA and Sandesh Khali?
That's a good question, Munmun, because there are multiple factors at play, and there are both national level, state level, and in this particular region itself, because as you mentioned, this geography and demography, it's a region that is traversed by the Ganga River. It also adjoins the Bangladesh border, so those factors influence it. There is, of course, the minority community which dominates a large part of this area. In Murshidabad, where I'm standing, it's said that the Muslim population is over 60%, and that has a bearing on how politics is played out here as well, because you mentioned CAA. That's what the TMC has been saying. It's been raising the bogey of CAA, NRC and Uniform Civil Code to say to people that they should not vote for the BJP, and they should not also vote for the X factor in these elections, which is the combination of the Congress and the left primarily. That's the India Alliance here in West Bengal. That is the third force here. It's a multi-cornered contest, and there's a lot of speculation over who will it harm or benefit because the main contest is still seen to be between the TMC, which rules in the state, and the BJP, which is part of the NDA alliance at the centre.
Also, Meghna, what arrangements have been made to facilitate smooth polling in the state on the 7th of May, the state of Gujarat, where you are currently?
Well, Monmon, obviously, when we understand that it's just a couple of days to go when the people of Gujarat will go to vote in the third phase, all the arrangements have been put in place. We will be definitely showing the visuals of the model polling booths and the Divyang booths, Sakhi booths as well. So there are about 182 model polling booths which have been created in the state. We also have about 182 polling booths which will be specially managed by Divyangs. We also have over 1,200 Sakhi polling stations which will be completely managed by women. While we also understand that there are about 4.94 lakh voters in the state, and the numbers for men and women are almost equal. So definitely, there has been a lot of sweep activities that have been going on across the state to obviously encourage the voters so that they go out and vote. While definitely, the scorching heat is definitely a challenge. So all the polling stations have been equipped with water and such facilities where people will not have to wait for a long time. There has been waiting area also made for in some polling booths where we can see there are benches and chairs that have been provided for people. Obviously, tenting has also been done in a few places where a shade can be provided so that people don't have to stand in scorching heat in the summer while the temperatures are already rising. So obviously, the Election Commission, the Gujarat Election Commission has put things in place for the voters who are going to vote this time around, and also special campaigns to encourage the first-time voters. We also did a report on how a metaverse video has been doing the rounds, where youngsters, especially encouraging the youngsters on the procedure of how to go about how to vote, who will be the officials they will be meeting in the polling station, how do they go from one desk to the other desk and cast their vote. So everything has been put in place, while the Election Commission has constantly been also keeping an eye on the complaints that they have been receiving on the C-Vigil app. Besides that, also the Gujarat Election Commission will be doing a live telecast, live broadcast of polling from 25,000 polling stations on the polling day.
Okay, we'll get back to you, but Amrit, coming to you now, you gave us a broad sense of how the political contest looks like in the third phase of polling in UP, but which of these are some high-profile contests in the third round?
Well, the high profile, if you look at it, Manpuri is a high profile constituency which has been traditionally a stronghold of the Mulayam Singh Yadav clan. Mulayam Singh Yadav has won multiple times from here. In fact, the last time around in 2019, he had won the polls from here. After his demise in 2022, his daughter-in-law Dimple Yadav was fielded from here and she won in the by-polls. She is a candidate again. So that is a high-profile seat, but there are other seats also like Badaयूं or Firozabad, where cousins of Akhilesh Yadav are contesting from. In fact, one swipe that Amit Shah of the BJP took at the Mulayam Yadav clan was that don't they find Yadavs outside the Mulayam Singh Yadav's family, because 5 members of their family, Dimple Yadav, Akhilesh Yadav himself from Kannauj, though it's not a part of, it's not going to polls on Tuesday. Then again, Dharminder Yadav from Azamgarh. In these 2 seats, in the 10 seats going to polls on Tuesday, there are cousins of Mulayam Yadav, Shivpal Yadav's son Akshay is contesting from Badaयूं. Then Ramgopal Yadav's son is contesting from Firozabad. So these are seats that are interesting. Also, as I said, the caste combination, the caste community combination suits them. There are seats which are heavily, this is what is referred to as the Yadav land. If the first 2 polls were called the Jat land along the NCR border, here the Yadav community dominates. Plus, say for example, where I am in Sambal, there is a sizable Muslim community majority. The Muslim population in Sambal is believed to be, the electorate is about 47-48%. So that's a sizable population. So that is what makes the contest interesting and makes these constituencies high profile in different seats, Munmun.
Right. Gautam, you've seen in the past several elections that ABA Ghani Khan Chaudhary has been a factor in this region. As far as his influence is concerned, is that still a factor in this election, or has that factor faded significantly?
Well, ABA Ghani Khan Chaudhary was a tall leader in Malda, but he passed away 18 years ago. His family, his brother then took over the seat, Abu Hassan Khan Chaudhary. He's the sitting MP, but since he's indisposed, his son Isha Khan Chaudhary is contesting from Dakshin Malda this time around. He's a sitting MLA from one of the legislative assembly seats of West Bengal from this region. So one would say that there are vestiges of the Congress influence. Remember that in this area, again in this phase, Jangipur is one of the constituencies which was represented by Pranab Mukherjee, India's former president. He's also no more at least twice, and then his son also contested the by-election when Pranab Mukherjee had quit that seat since he became president, and then later once again he contested but lost. So I would say there are vestiges of Congress influence here because of the presence of tall leaders of the past, but that's been heavily challenged. Even the left has been waning, but again the left and the Congress have come together, like I said, this time around, and they're trying to, for example, CPM Politburo member Mohammad Salim is contesting from Murshidabad itself with the support of the Congress, and they're trying to claw back some of their space in this region because they feel that they can sort of build upon the anti-incumbency that the TMC has. Remember, it's their third term. Mamata Banerjee became Chief Minister again in 2021 for the third time, while the BJP is saying that, look, there is so much corruption, so many issues cropping up. The Sandesh Khari issue is still playing around because of certain factors. A video had sort of surfaced, sort of a sting operation, which the BJP is saying is not true. It's been doctored. AI has been used to put the audio of one of its workers to make certain claims that Sandesh Khari was totally cooked up sort of an incident. But again, that is there in the consciousness, and there's enough to muddy the waters here and keep people confused as to which way this contest is going.
Meghna, do election issues or differ from one region of Gujarat to another, and how?
Well, Munmun, primarily we have always been seeing not only in the Lok Sabha elections, obviously the general elections. It's always been the case in the assembly elections as well. In the past couple of decades, Gujarat has always politicians here have also been fighting elections on the issue of development. Besides, one more thing, if we say different regions definitely have different issues. For example, if we go to north of Gujarat, we have districts like Banaskantha, where a lot of women have their depend for their livelihood on on dairying, obviously animal farming and all of that. So that is very important for them. When we come down south, in tribal regions like Narmada, since when the Statue of Unity has come, they are more dependent on tourism and such factors. So they have such issues. They want more development there. They want more tourists to come. They definitely want more employment in these areas. But when we go to Surat and those industrial regions, we also go to Rajkot. In these places, more industries to come. Like, for example, we have a place near Sanand where Micron is setting up its semiconductor facility. So, having said all of that, there are different issues. We say Kutch obviously wants more development. Kutch obviously wants more tourists to come in. So these kind of issues are there. When we talk about, water issues, while there is Namala Canal, reaching to almost every part here in Gujarat, but definitely for farming and these purposes, in many areas, farmers are also saying that they need more water for irrigation. So definitely different regions, while central, south, north, and Saurashtra. Different areas in Gujarat have different issues, but primarily it's always been the election issue for the politicians. They have come up only with the development issue, and obviously the voters here also have that kind of mindset, which in the past 2 decades that they will be voting for developmental issues only.
Okay, we'll leave it at that. Amritpal Singh from Sambhal, Gautam Roy from Murshidabad and Meghna from Ahmedabad joining us with updates from the three states that are going to polls in the third phase on the 7th of May. Remember, there are 95 constituencies in 12 states and union territories that are going to polls on that day. Each of these constituencies have their constituency-specific issues on which people will be deciding which way to vote. There are also issues that have a national flavor, which may also weigh on the minds of voters as they go to the polling booths for voting on the 7th of May. Joining us now is Siddharth Bharadwaj from Raipur, the capital of Chhattisgarh. Siddharth, good evening. How is the fight shaping up in the state capital Raipur, where you are currently?
Well, first of all, a very good evening to you, Munmun. I'm here in Raipur, which is the capital of Chhattisgarh and one of the most important constituencies when it comes to Lok Sabha elections, and also one of the constituencies out of all the 7 constituencies which are going to polls on May 7. You know, as far as the political battle is concerned here, then it's a bipolar fight, and not just, it's not a new thing, it's been decades now, especially after Chhattisgarh was carved out from Madhya Pradesh on November 1st, 2000. BJP has been a dominant force here. Numbers speak for themselves. I'll talk to you about the candidates first. From the BJP side, Brij Mohan Agarwal has been fielded, and from the Congress's side, Vikas Upadhyay has been fielded. Now, I'll take you a little back in the past, Munmun. In 2019, BJP got 9 seats out of 11 seats that are there in the states, and Congress got just 2. In 2014, Congress got just 1 seat and BJP got 10 seats. So that clearly speaks volumes about the fact that BJP is the dominant force here. But you know, the political landscape as far as it is concerned, that BJP is eyeing for a resurgent, BJP is eyeing for a thumping victory here, and Congress is trying to get some decent numbers. But in the end, it's the voters who will be deciding who will be leading this constituency when they'll go to cast their ballots on May 7th, and the result for the same will be on June 7th, Munmun.
Right, we'll catch up with you again in the next couple of days, particularly. So that's all the time that we have for this. Thanks for joining in from Raipur. Well, time for us to take a breather. Still to come on DD India News Hour. Know why India's Defence Minister Rajnath Singh thinks that people of Pakistan-occupied Kashmir would voluntarily seek integration with India. UK's Labour Party registers remarkable victories in elections to local councils and mayoralties. Ukrainian president figures in Russia's wanted list.
Voice of a rising aspirational world. Stories of challenges, struggles and accomplishment. A world battling conflict, hunger and poverty. Embracing growth, development, science and technology. A voice of progress, a voice of unity. Watch Voice of the Global South with me, Akshay Dongre, only on DD India.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News Hour with me, Munmun Bhattacharya. India's Defence Minister Rajnath Singh said that people of Pakistan-occupied Kashmir would voluntarily seek integration with India, inspired by the developmental progress witnessed in the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir. In an interview with India's news agency, Singh remarked, and I quote, "I think India will not have to do anything. The way the ground situation has changed in Jammu and Kashmir, the way the region is witnessing economic progress and the way peace has returned there, I think demands will emerge from people of POK that they should merge with India." The Defence Minister also said that we will not have to use force to take POK, as people would say that we must be merged with India. Such demands are now coming. The prospects of ceasefire in Gaza appeared slim on Sunday as Hamas reiterated its demand for an end to the war in exchange of hostages. The two sides blamed each other for the impasse in the ceasefire talks. On the second day of the truce talks in Cairo with Egyptian and Qatari mediators, Hamas negotiators maintained their stance that any ceasefire agreement must end the war in Gaza. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu rejected Palestinian militant groups' demands, saying that it would keep Hamas in power and pose a threat to Israel in future.
בניגוד לפרסומים הללו, החמאס הוא זה שמכשיל את שחרור.
Contrary to these publications, it is Hamas that is preventing the release of our hostages. We are working in every possible way to free the hostages. We are not willing to accept a situation in which Hamas battalions leave their tunnels, re-establish control over Strip, rebuild their military industries, go back to threatening citizens of Israel in the communities near Gaza, the city of the south, and throughout the country.
לסיים את המלחמה, להשאיר את החמאס על כנו.
On a Russia-Ukraine update, Russia's Interior Ministry on Sunday opened criminal case against Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky and added his name on the wanted list. More in this report.
Continuing its spree of putting several leaders on wanted list, Russia on Sunday opened criminal case against Ukraine President Volodymyr Zelensky and put him on a wanted list. Russia's state news agency TASS reported, and I quote, "An arrest warrant was issued against Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky by the Ministry of Interior of Russia. A corresponding entry has been appeared in the police database." In response to the move, Ukraine's foreign ministry noted Russian President Vladimir Putin is himself subject to arrest under an international criminal court warrant. The Ukrainian foreign ministry in a statement said, "We would like to remind you that unlike the worthless Russian announcement, an international criminal court warrant for the arrest of Russian dictator Vladimir Putin on suspicion of war crime is quite real and subject to the implementation of 123 countries." Meanwhile, on ground, at least 2 civilians died in Russian attacks on Ukraine's Kharkiv and Dnipro region and Black Sea port city of Odisha. In retaliation, Ukrainian forces shot down a Russian Su-25 fighter bomber over the Donetsk region.
A special commendation goes to the warriors of the 110th Separate Mechanized Brigade for taking down today another Russian Su-25 in the Donetsk region. Only this morning, our warriors have already shot down 13 Shahed drones.
In another development, Ukraine's energy minister on Sunday claimed that recent drone attack on Ukrainian energy system have caused more than 1 billion worth of damage. There seemed to be no end near than the Ukraine-Russia in conflict as both countries continued to pound each other with drones and missiles and destroying key infrastructure. Faiz Khan reporting for DD India.
UK's Labour Party registered remarkable victories in elections to local councils and mayoralties. Following the results, London's newly elected Mayor Sadiq Khan said that it was time for the Prime Minister to call a general election, while Labour leader Keir Starmer said result was beyond Labour's expectations. British Prime Minister Rishi Sunak, however, expressed his disappointment over the results.
Britain's Labour Party won mayoral polls in London and central England on Saturday in crushing defeats for Prime Minister Rishi Sunak's Conservatives ahead of a national election due later this year. London's newly re-elected Mayor Sadiq Khan said it was time for the Prime Minister to call for a general election.
What excites me the most this year is the chance of working with a Labour government, and the message from this election in London and across the country is it's time for Rishi Sunak to call a general election.
Labour's Steve Rotherham won his third successive term as mayor of the Liverpool City region, while Labour also snatched a surprise, narrow victory in the Central West Midlands region. However, in one bright spot for the Conservatives, Ben Houchen won re-election as mayor of Tees Valley in the northern England. British Prime Minister Rishi Sunak expressed his disappointment over the results.
Obviously, it's disappointing to lose good, hard-working Conservative councillors, and I'm grateful to them for all their service in local government, keeping council tax low and delivering services for local people.
Opinion polls predicted Labour will win the next national elections. Labour Party leader Keir Starmer said the results show that voters are fed up with the 14 years of government of the Conservative Party.
I think the message here is very, very clear. And I think across the East Midlands, there's been a sending of that message to the government, which is we're fed up with your division, with your chaos, with your failure. 14 years. And I'm sorry. I don't care which political party you support. If you leave your country in a worse state than when you found it 14 years later, you do not deserve to be in government for a moment longer.
Voters cast their ballots on Thursday for more than 2,000 seats on local authorities across England. Fuzail Ahmed reporting for DD India.
Togo's ruling party has won 108 out of 113 seats in parliament, according to the final provisional results of last month's legislative election announced on Friday. The sweeping majority secured by President for Ganans Bay's UNIR party follows the approval of controversial constitutional reforms by the outgoing parliament that could extend his 19-year rule. The new charter adopted in March also introduced a parliamentary system of government, meaning the president will be elected by parliament instead of by universal suffrage or voting. Opposition parties were hoping to gain seats in the April 29th vote to enable them to challenge the UNIR party after they boycotted the last legislative poll and left it effectively in control of parliament. The election had been delayed twice because of a backlash from some opposition parties who called the constitutional changes a maneuver to allow Nasing Bey to rule for life. Tropical cyclone Hidaya has made landfall on the coast of Tanzania. The Tanzania Meteorological Authority reports that several coastal regions have encountered unprecedented rainfall. DD India's Isaac Lucando has more.
Record-breaking rainfall of 200 millimeters was recorded in Tanzania's southern region of Lindi, contrasting sharply with the typical May average of 90 millimeters. As Cyclone Hidaya approached the East African coast with maximum winds of 120 kilometers per hour and powerful gusts, ferry services between Tanzania's commercial hub, Dar es Salaam, and Zanzibar were suspended. Cyclones seldom make landfall on Tanzania's coast due to its proximity to the equator, but authorities cautioned residents as Cyclone Hidaya's intensity escalated. In the same vein, the Tanzania Red Cross Society conducted preparedness campaigns along the coast. Heavy rains and flooding in Tanzania over recent weeks have claimed the lives of 161 individuals, with over 200,000 others affected. In neighboring Kenya, the government says 70 deaths have been reported since the onset of the rainy season in March. While Dar es Salaam has largely been spared from the cyclone's effects, further rain is anticipated. The East African region remains highly susceptible to climate change, with El Niño projected to persist through May. Isaac Lucando in Dar es Salaam, reporting for DD India.
Weather updates from across the world now. Heavy rains in southern Brazil this week killed more than 55 people. Brazil's president will be traveling back to the state on Sunday to monitor the rescue efforts. Authorities said 74 people were still missing as storms in the last few days have affected nearly two-thirds of the 497 cities in the state. More precipitation expected to batter the northern and northeastern regions of the state until Sunday. Flash floods and heavy rains in Kenya that began in the middle of March have killed several people. Now, Kenya bracing for massive storm Cyclone Hidaya. Torrential rain and floods have destroyed homes, roads, bridges and other infrastructure across the region. The government has asked people living near 178 dams and water reservoirs now close to overflowing, as well as those in informal settlements close to rivers and streams, to evacuate. The Nairobi government has set up 115 camps to host people displaced by the flooding, and it is working closely with donors and humanitarian organizations to provide food and non-food supplies to those affected. Floods continue to hit parts of East Africa, impacting thousands of people, including the refugees in the region, and leaving many of them homeless. Let's now take a look at other stories making news. Indian Air Force on Sunday paid condolences to the family of martyred Corporal Vicky Pahade. Corporal Vicky Pahade lost his life during a gunfight with terrorists in Jammu and Kashmir's Pooch sector on Saturday. Delhi Police Crime Branch has busted an illegal casino running in the national capital. 22 people, including organizers, have been arrested. Cash worth 1 million rupees, 160 casino tokens, 16 dices and 16 playing cards were stacks that were seized from the spot. In Tamil Nadu, Nilgiri's district administration has announced mandatory implementation of e-passes for outsiders entering the district. This decision comes following an order from the Madras High Court effective from 7th May. Still to come on DD India News Hour, Real Madrid wins a record extending 36th La Liga title. India's National Anti-Doping Agency suspends wrestler Bajrang Punia indefinitely ahead of Paris Olympics. Know how Darjeeling Himalayan Railway put Darjeeling on the world map.
We just don't bring you the news as it unfolds. We get to the heart of the matter.
We don't just present facts, we demystify complex social, political and economic events.
We break stories that shape the world's present and future because you deserve the truth.
I am Tanvi Taneja from New Delhi.
I'm Ollie Barrett from London.
I'm Nick Harper from Washington, D.C.
Join us on DD India Global Monday to Friday at these times.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News Hour with me, Munmun Bhattacharya. Japan's Minister for Foreign Affairs, Kamikawa Yoko, arrived in Kathmandu this afternoon on an official visit to Nepal. She was received by Foreign Service Secretary Seva Lamsal at Tribhuvan International Airport. This marks her first visit to Nepal after she was appointed to the post. The Japanese minister paid a courtesy call to Prime Minister Pushpakamal Dahal Prachand. Japanese Minister Kamikawa Yoko also held bilateral meeting and talks with the Deputy Prime Minister and Foreign Minister Shresht. The leaders exchanged views on further elevating Nepal and Japan's relationship and bilateral cooperation. Besides, Japan's Foreign Minister also visited the Kathmandu Darbar Square to see the UNESCO heritage site. Chinese President Xi Jinping arrived in France's national capital on Sunday to pay a state visit to the country at the invitation of French President Emmanuel Macron. During Xi's two-day stay in France, his official meetings will include joint talks with French President Emmanuel Macron and European Commission Chief Ursula von der Leyen. Sunday marks the celebration of Greek Orthodox Easter. Pope Francis sent his wishes to Orthodox Christians and Eastern Catholic churches and asked to pray for peace in Ukraine and the Middle East. Orthodox Christians follow the Julian rather than the Gregorian calendar and celebrate Easter this weekend. Troops marched in and fighter jets flew over Moscow on Sunday during a rehearsal for the World War II anniversary parade. President Vladimir Putin is expected to lead Victory Day events in Moscow on Thursday, marking the 79th anniversary of the Soviet Union's victory over Nazi Germany. You're watching DD India News Hour. Time now for all the sports action. The International Cricket Council on Sunday announced the fixtures for the 9th ICC Women's T20 World Cup 2024 taking place from the 3rd to the 20th of October in Bangladesh. 10 teams will play 23 matches over 18 action-packed days at two venues in Bangladesh, the Shere-Bangla National Cricket Stadium in Dhaka and the Sylhet International Cricket Stadium in Sylhet. That's as per the ICC press release. And the schedule was unveiled at an event in Dhaka attended by Nazmul Hassan, President of the Bangladesh Cricket Board, alongside Geoff Allardyce, CEO of the ICC, and captains of India and Bangladesh women's team, Harmanpreet Kaur and Nigar Sultana, respectively. Before the official fixture launch, Bangladesh's Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina met the two captains at a residence, offering her best wishes for a successful World Cup. Real Madrid supporters celebrated outside Santiago Bernabeu on Saturday after Carlo Ancelotti's side won the club's 36th La Liga title. They hold a 13-point advantage over second-placed Girona, while Barcelona dropped to number 3 with 4 matches remaining.
Real Madrid continued their dominance in Spanish football as they successfully clinched their 36th La Liga title with 4 games to spare, dashing the hopes of their closest rivals, Barcelona. Madrid's comprehensive 3-0 victory over relegation-threatened Cadiz, which even with a lineup predominantly of bench players was enough to secure the title, as Barcelona stumbled to a 4-2 defeat against Girona. Real Madrid have lost only once in the league this season, holding a 13-point advantage over second-placed Girona, while Barcelona dropped to third with 4 matches remaining.
It has been a fantastic league. I think we have deserved it with everything we did. The support from our fans has been fantastic, and we are obviously very happy. We have a very important challenge ahead on Wednesday, and we want to prepare it well to give another joy to our fans. Right now, for us, it's important to celebrate, yes, but a contained celebration, because our objective on Wednesday is too important.
Hundreds of delighted Real Madrid fans celebrated after Carlo Ancelotti's side won the club's 36th La Liga title. The win also secured Girona a spot in Europe for the first time after they qualified for next season's Champions League.
I am super proud. I feel very proud of supporting the best club in the world named Real Madrid. Best club in the world, and perhaps not only from the world. I don't know if they play football in mass, but if they would, Real Madrid would also be the best. Today is the 36th Liga title, but soon we will bring the 15th Champions League title.
Real can now turn their attention to a La Liga Champions League double as they get ready to host Bayern Munich in the semi-final return leg on Wednesday after snatching a 2-2 draw in Germany last week. Sports Desk, DD India.
India's National Anti-Doping Agency has provisionally suspended Bajrang Punia from participating in any future events after the player refused to give his sample for doping tests during recent trials. The Bajrang lost the 65 kg trials, and Sujit Kalal will represent India at the World Qualifiers for Paris Olympics to be held from 9th May. The provisional suspension could jeopardize his prospects of another shot at the Summer Games. Meanwhile, the wrestler has posted on X claiming he never refused to provide any samples for testing and questioned about action on the expired kit. The Darjeeling Himalayan Railway is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. The railway, built in 1881, helped connect the hills of Darjeeling with the plains, bringing down the prices of essential commodities and helping in the export of tea. It established Darjeeling on the world map. More than 140 years later, the Darjeeling Railway still runs on a small stretch between Darjeeling and Coombe, transporting people back in time. Mark Lynn reports.
The Darjeeling Himalayan Railway isn't just a stretch of tracks. It's a historical marvel that winds its way through time and terrain. It has UNESCO World Heritage status because it is an innovative transportation system developed in the 19th century that transformed the landscape of the Darjeeling Hills from a cluster of huts to a bustling hub of culture and commerce. In 1878, Franklin Prestige, regarded as the founder of this Wonder Rail link, saw immense possibilities in linking the hills of Darjeeling and the plains by rail. Prices of essential commodities were 3 times dearer in the hills than in the plains. The railway over time was able to bring down the cost of essential commodities between Darjeeling and Siliguri and carry tea for export, which established Darjeeling on the world map. Technologically, it became viable because of the tiny 2-foot gauge and small locomotives that were powerful enough to climb steep gradients. UNESCO World Heritage Committee inscribed DHR as a World Heritage Site on the 5th of December 1999 because it is an outstanding example of the influence of an innovative transportation system on socio-economic development of a multicultural region, which was to serve as a model for similar developments in many parts of the world. Today, a short ride on this gateway to the spectacular Himalayas is all that remains, and it is full of mystery and imagination. The tiny four-wheeled steam locomotive is a living legend of the 19th century, and looking out at the mesmerizing scenery literally transports one back in time, one whistle at a time.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi on a Sunday offered prayers at Ayodhya's Ram temple. After offering the prayers, Prime Minister shared a video of Puja and Darshan of Ram Lala on social media platform X and said that he prayed to Prabhu Shri Ram for the well-being of 140 crore Indians. On that spiritual note, we come to the end of this edition of DD India News Hour, but do share your thoughts with us on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on the DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. Scan the QR code on the screen to download now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Munun Bhattacharya from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India Live. Namaskar.